I wanted to go over a few other settings that were important, it seems, to make sure that they were set as reports come back from early presentations of things that should be adjusted. So, you need to know that we have all of the JOLT room settings already set at the top level for certain types of behavior. But there are certain things that can be controlled by your own personal app settings, depending on how you've set your own application within your computer. They can, in some cases, override what's actually available as information to Zoom from the website settings. Let's go over some of those that are very important. Okay, number one, you can see over here my participants list. Let me just slide it in and out for you so you can see it. That's my participants list. Okay, now at the bottom of the participants list, right there, you see that More button? Okay, that More button will let you see, okay, right here, Ask All to Unmute. You don't see the whole window, but you can see for yourself in your own Zoom. Ask All to Unmute, mute participants upon entry, allow participants to unmute themselves, play sound when someone joins or leaves, and all of these other things that are checked and unchecked. We want you to have your Zoom set to look exactly like I have it right now, okay? So that it should have mute participants upon entry checked, allow participants to unmute themselves checked, and allow participants to rename themselves checked. The other one should be unchecked, okay? There should be no sounds playing when people join or leave, because that's, even though me personally, I have that set on my app so I know when my kids go in and out of the rooms, they're late or they're leaving or they get cut off or something like that, that can be very distracting to presenters. It would be distracting even to me, even though I'm used to those sounds. So make sure that's off. Okay. Now here's an interesting thing, okay? It is important for participants to be muted upon entry, but in the case that you ask people to unmute themselves for whatever reason, if the presenter asks you to do it or you do it at the end, okay? Keep this in mind, okay? If you ask all to unmute, see how that's checked? Mute participants upon entry, watch this. Ask all to unmute, check that. Now watch this. Come back and mute participants upon entry has been taken off. Okay, so it changes that setting depending on if you ask all to unmute. Now, if you ask all to unmute in the middle of the presentation, try to remember that now anybody new coming in will not be muted. Okay, so remember to turn that back on if that's the case, and then you'll be given this warning window. Okay, allow participants to unmute themselves. Very important. You just check this blue button right there. Okay, so those were the buttons. Okay, in the participants list, and that controls sounds and muting. All right. Now next, if you look below that, there's the chat window right there. See, that says right there, chat. Now, a lot of people like to keep the chat window right underneath the participants window, but I like to keep my chat window separate because I actually have a very big monitor and I have a lot of space for it. And if I separate the chat, I can see more of the participants list. So to separate the chat from the window, you can do what's called a pop-out. And you can actually, depending on your tastes, pop out the participants list too. And a pop-out looks like this. Okay, pop this out. And it becomes a movable window. So when people chat, you can see it in a different place, and then all of this space over here now becomes devoted to the participants window, and the chat just becomes a separate place. Okay, just a little bit of a hint for you. Excuse me. Okay, now the chat has its own controls down here in the three-dot button. Click that. Okay, now what's important here is that you make sure that everyone publicly and directly can chat with each other. Now, if you have that set, like I do, okay, to not allow the students to chat with each other for security reasons, that's fine. Those are your app settings, but please make sure that when you do a presentation or you host a presentation for JOLT, that everyone can chat with each other in either publicly or directly in the presentations that you're doing. Okay, and if you want to bring this chat back over to the meeting window, you just merge it right there. Okay, so pop out right there, and if you want to put it back, you can merge it to the meeting window. It's the bottom right there. Okay, okay, just a few more settings for you to take a look at, but these are in the deeper app settings. And sometimes they're hard to find because you know, you got a small screen or the Zoom window itself isn't visible. So what you do is you come over here to the audio, the microphone icon, and then the audio settings are available from the up caret icon button next to it. Okay, This is actually the fastest way to get to your total Zoom settings. Go to audio settings, okay? And audio settings here will help you control just audio, but you also have access to everything else, okay? Now, in general, okay, what I want to show you is here. Right here where it says always show meeting controls. Now I did this in a separate video already, but always show my meeting controls. That should be on. That'll help you orient yourself to your recording button, your breakout rooms button. If it's not on, I suggest you turn it on. But that's a matter of taste, but I suggest you turn it on. Okay? Now also in the recording section right here, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 from the top, recording, okay? There is a way here for you to record a separate audio file for each participant. Now, for some of us who actually do, like for me, I do podcasting. That podcasting itself, I'm going to take this down here so you can see who's talking to you. That podcasting itself is more convenient when you record a separate audio file. But do not record a separate audio file for each participant when you're recording for these JOLT presentations. Make sure that is off. The way it looks right now is the way it should be. Okay? Do not record a separate audio file for each participant. So make sure that is off. Okay? Otherwise, I'm going to close that. Otherwise, those are the settings that I wanted to show you right now. There might be more of these videos later, and if there is, just keep an eye out on the Slack and always ask me any questions that you have. Thanks a lot, everybody. I hope the conference is going well for you. Seems the conference is going well overall for all of us. Okay, bye.